The massive chamber buzzed with strange sounds as creatures from across the galaxy gathered for another meeting. Ambassador Lee Minho sat quietly in the human section, his fingers moving across his tablet screen as he read through important data. His face showed no emotion, but inside he felt worried about what was coming. Council Prime Vorthik stood at the center of the room. He was huge, like a giant insect with 6 arms and glowing red eyes. When he clicked his sharp mouth parts together, the sound echoed through the chamber and all the alien voices went quiet. Today was different from other meetings. Today they would deal with what they called the human problem. For many years, the other species in the galaxy had watched humans with growing fear and anger. While it took most alien races thousands of years to learn how to travel between stars, humans had done it in just a few hundred years. Their technology grew faster than anyone expected. Their weapons got stronger every year. But what made the Council most angry was how humans kept making friends with species that the Council thought were weak and stupid. Minho looked round the chamber at all the different alien faces staring at him. Some had scales, like snakes. Others looked like walking trees with many eyes. A few were just floating balls of light that spoke by changing colors. He had worked with these beings for 10 years, trying to keep peace between humans and the rest of the galaxy. But he could see in their expressions that today would be different. "We are here to discuss new rules for human expansion," Vorthik announced. His voice came through a machine that turned his clicking sounds into words that everyone could understand. "The humans have gone too far for too long." Ambassador Crate each stood up from his seat. He was from the Dominion, a group of lizard-like creatures who thought they were better than everyone else. His green scales caught the light as he moved, and his yellow eyes focused on Minho with obvious dislike. "The humans give weapons to species we have decided should not have them," Crate H said, his forked tongue flicking out as he spoke. "They share technology that should be kept secret. They ignore the rules that have kept peace in our galaxy for thousands of years. They must be stopped." Sounds of agreement came from all round the chamber. The Luminari, who were beings made of pure energy, pulsed with bright flashes of light. The water-breathing species made musical sounds that meant yes in their language. Even the plant-like Verdani rustled their leaves in a way that showed their greed. Minho felt his heart beating faster, but he kept his face calm. He had expected this day to come. For months, he had noticed the secret meetings and whispered conversations that happened when the humans were not around. He had tried to warn Earth about what was coming, but his messages had been ignored by politicians who thought the Council would never dare to threaten humanity. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" Minho said as he stood up. His voice was steady and clear, but inside he felt like he was standing on the edge of a cliff. "First, all human expansion beyond your current star systems must stop immediately," Vorthik replied. "Second, everything you build or discover must be approved by the Council before you can use it. Third, you must end all your friendships with primitive species that we have not approved." The chamber fell completely silent. Even the humming of the air recycling systems seemed louder than usual. Minho could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him, waiting to see how he would respond to these demands. "And if we refuse?" Minho asked, though he already knew what the answer would be. "Then humanity will find itself completely alone," Crate said with what might have been a smile on his lizard face. "No trade with any Council species. No protection from pirates or hostile forces. No access to the hyperspace routes that connect all civilized worlds. You will be cut off from everything that makes galactic civilization possible." Minho was quiet for a long moment. He thought about all the human colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. He thought about the millions of people who depended on trade with alien species for food, medicine, and technology. He thought about the friends humanity had made among the smaller species, and how they would suffer if the humans could no longer protect them. But he also thought about something else. He thought about the spirit that had driven humans to leave their home planet and spread across the stars, the same spirit that had made them fight wars, explore dangerous places, and never give up even when things seemed impossible. The Council was asking humanity to give up that spirit and become slaves. "I need to speak with my government," Minho said finally. He touched a button on his communicator device. "I'm calling for a 24-hour break in this meeting so I can get instructions from Earth." As the aliens began to file out of the chamber, making their various sounds of satisfaction and anticipation, Minho remained in his seat. He stared out through the huge windows at the stars beyond, knowing that in just one day, everything would change forever. The choice was simple but terrible: surrender their freedom or face the unknown alone. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did. When cornered, within hours of Minho's message reaching Earth, the most important people in human space appeared as glowing holograms around a secret meeting room. President Park Ji-hoon sat at his desk on Earth, his face serious and tired. Admiral Kim Tae-young appeared from the military base on Mars, his uniform covered with medals from many battles. Director Choi Ji-won joined from the shipyards near Saturn, where humans build their fastest spaceships. "They want to make us their pets," Minho said from his small room on the council station. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger underneath. "Either we let them control everything we do, or they will cut us off from the rest of the galaxy completely." Admiral Kim crossed his arms and frowned. His face had many scars from fighting space pirates in the outer systems. "I have studied their military strength. We could fight any single alien species and win. But if all of them attack us together, we would be in serious trouble. Fighting is not the real problem," Director Choi said quickly. She was younger than the others, but very smart about how trade and business worked in space. "They control all the trade routes between star systems. They have the big communication networks that let us talk to distant colonies. Without them, our economy will collapse." President Park leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temples. He had been leading Earth for 8 years and had seen many difficult situations, but nothing like this. "Minho, do you think they are lying? Would they really cut us off completely?" Minho looked out the window of his room at the alien ships floating nearby. "No, sir, they are not lying. They are scared of us, really scared. They have controlled the galaxy for thousands of years by keeping everyone else weak and dependent. To them, we are not just growing too fast. We are threatening to destroy their whole way of life." "What about our friends?" President Park asked. "The species that like us, the Kevins, the Zoltan Union, the free traders, they are all watching this very carefully." Minho replied, "If we give up and let the Council control us, they know the Council will come for the next. But if we fight back, some of them might help us. Others might decide we are too dangerous to be around." The debate went on for many hours. Scientists joined the meeting to talk about which technologies humans could live without. Economists explained how much money they would lose if trade stopped. Military officers discussed which star systems they could defend and which ones they might have to abandon. Some people wanted to accept the Council's demands. "We can pretend to obey them," suggested one politician. "We can agree to their rules, but then break them secretly." "That will not work," Admiral Kim said firmly. "They will put watchers on every human world. They will inspect our ships and our factories. We will become prisoners in our own homes." Others wanted to fight immediately. "We should attack them first," said a general from the Luna. hit their most important worlds before they can organize against us. That would make us the bad guys, President Park replied. Every species in the galaxy would unite against us. We would become the monsters they say we are. As the meeting continued, Minho received messages from his contacts among the alien species. Some were worried about what would happen to their own people if the humans were forced to obey the council. Others were excited about finally putting the upstart humans in their place. Sir, Minho interrupted the debate. I am getting reports from our allies. The Kevin ambassador just sent me a private message. He says his government is ready to leave the council if we do. The Zoltan Union is having emergency meetings. Even some of the smaller species are talking about following us. President Park sat up straighter. How many? Maybe 15 or 20 species. Not the big, powerful ones, but enough to matter. Director Choi started typing rapidly on her computer. If we take those species with us, we would not be alone. The Kethans are excellent at mining asteroids. The Zoltans understand energy technology better than anyone. The free traders know secret routes through dangerous space. But we would still lose access to most of the galaxy. Someone pointed out. No, President Park said slowly, and everyone could see an idea forming in his mind. We would lose access to the Council's galaxy, but we could build our own. The room fell silent as everyone thought about what this meant. It would be the biggest decision in human history. They would be walking away from everything they had built with the alien species. They would be giving up the safety and comfort of being part of the galactic community. But they would also be free, all in favor of withdrawal. President Park asked. Every hand in the room went up. Even the people appearing as holograms from distant worlds raised their hands. Minho, draft the message, President Park ordered. Make it simple and clear. We are leaving, and we are not coming back, as the meeting ended. Minho began writing the words that would change the galaxy forever. Outside his window, alien ships continued their normal business, not knowing that the universe was about to become a very different place. 6 months after the humans walked away, the alien species in the council began to understand the terrible mistake they had made. At first, they had celebrated. The troublesome humans were gone, and order could return to the galaxy. But as the weeks passed, things started to break down in ways no one had expected. Commander Velta stood in the control room of Trading Hub 7, one of the biggest space stations in Council territory. Warning lights flashed red all round him, and loud alarms filled the air with urgent sounds. His 4 eyes moved quickly between different computer screens, all showing the same frightening message. System failure. Sir, the main air cleaning system is not working. His assistant reported, her voice shaking with fear. The backup systems are also starting to fail. We have maybe 2 days of clean air left for everyone on the station. Velder hit his desk with his large fist. The air cleaning system had been built by humans 20 years ago. It had worked perfectly. All this time because human engineers came every few months to fix small problems and replace old parts. But when the humans left the council, they took all their technical knowledge with them. Contact the human repair company, Velter ordered. Sir, we tried. Their communication system says they no longer provide services to council members. It tells us to contact individual human colonies. But what? The human colonies are not answering our calls. They have built their own communication network with their new allies. We cannot reach them. The same problem was happening all across council space. On the crystal farms of the Dominion worlds, the atmospheric processes that humans had designed were shutting down one by one. These machines created the special air conditions needed to grow food crystals. Without them, billions of people would starve. the hegemony's exploration fleets were having different problems. Their ships used quantum sensors built by human companies to find new planets and mineral deposits. When these sensitive instruments broke, there were no replacement parts available. Scout ships that had been the pride of the hegemony were now flying blind through space. But the worst crisis was with the communication and transportation systems that connected all the worlds of the Galaxy. For decades, human engineers had quietly become the people who kept everything running. They maintained the huge relay stations that allowed faster-than-light communication between distant star systems. They upgraded the hyperspace gates that ships used to travel quickly from one world to another. When the humans left, they took their maintenance contracts with them. Within months, relay stations began failing. Hyperspace gates started working poorly or stopped working completely. Parts of the galaxy that had been connected for a century suddenly found themselves cut off from each other. "The Proxima relay has gone completely dark," reported Lieutenant Korth to the Emergency Council meeting. "The Centauri gate is only working at half power. The Vega communication rig keeps cutting in and out. Ships are getting lost trying to navigate without proper signals." Council Prime Vorthok clicked his mandibles in frustration. "How long before we can train our own people to fix these systems, sir?" "The human technology, very complex. Our best engineers estimate it would take at least 10 years to fully understand how everything works. And that is only if we can get access to the technical manuals, which the humans are not sharing." Meanwhile, in human space, exactly the opposite was happening. Free from the Council's rules and restrictions, human colonies were expanding faster than ever before. New settlements appeared every month on planets that the Council had declared off-limits. Human ships traveled freely through space without having to ask permission or pay fees to Council authorities. Director Choi stood on the observation deck of New Seoul Station, watching the busy traffic of ships coming and going. Human vessels moved alongside alien ships from species that had left the Council to join the human alliance. The sight filled her with pride and amazement. "How are the construction projects going?" she asked her assistant, a young man named Officer Lee who had joined the colonial service just before the crisis began. "The Sydney Ring world is ahead of schedule by 3 months, Lee reported, reading from his tablet. "The Kethan mining operations in the Vale Nebula are producing twice as much rare metals as we expected. And the joint research project with the Zoltan Union is showing incredible results." "What kind of results?" "They think they are close to a breakthrough in dimensional physics. Something that could make our current faster-than-light travel look like riding a horse compared to a rocket ship." Director Choi smiled as she watched a Kethan mining ship dock with the station. The Kethans were tough, rock-like beings who could work in conditions that would kill most other species. Since joining the Human Alliance, they had shared their advanced mining techniques in exchange for human agricultural technology. The Zoltan Union had brought even more valuable knowledge. These energy-based life forms understood how to manipulate power and electricity in ways that seemed like magic to other species. Combined with human engineering skills, they were creating new technologies that amazed everyone. "Send a message to President Park," Director Choi said. "Tell him that our new alliance is not just surviving without the Council. We are thriving." As she spoke, more ships arrived at the station, carrying goods and people from dozens of different worlds. The galaxy was changing, and the humans were leading that change. The attack came from the darkness of space where no stars shine. The Devourers had been watching the galaxy for thousands of years, waiting for the right moment to strike. They were creatures that ate entire worlds, stripping away all life and leaving only dead rock behind. They had stayed hidden in the cold emptiness between galaxies, But now they saw their chance. The first world to die was Dominion Prime, home to billions of crystal-farming lizard people. The Devourer ships appeared without warning, looking like giant metal insects with thousands of glowing red eyes. They landed on the planet's surface and began their terrible work. Emergency. Emergency, screamed the communication from Dominion Prime. Unknown attackers are destroying our cities. They are eating everything. Please send help immediately. But help was slow to come. The Council's communication system was still broken from losing the human engineers. Messages took hours to reach the right people instead of minutes. By the time Council military ships arrived at Dominion Prime, the planet was already a lifeless ball of grey dust. Admiral Korth stood in the command center of the Council's main battle station, staring at the horrible images coming from the dead world. His hands shook as he tried to understand what had happened. "How many survivors?" he asked quietly. "None, sir." His aide replied, "The entire population of 4 billion people is gone. The attackers stripped away the atmosphere, the oceans even, the soil. There is nothing left but bare rock. What kind of weapons could do this? We do not know, sir. Our sensors could not get clear readings because the communication relays in that system are not working properly. Without the human-maintained network, we cannot coordinate our defenses effectively." The second attack came 3 days later. The Hegemony home world, a planet covered in huge insect cities, fell just as quickly as Dominion Prime. This time, the Council tried to respond faster. But their ships arrived at the wrong coordinates because the navigation systems were malfunctioning. Without human technical support, the defensive grid is completely broken, Admiral Korth reported to the Emergency Council meeting. Without the human relay network, our fleets cannot talk to each other properly. We are fighting blind while these devourers use our own communication. Failures against us. Fear spread through Council space like a disease. Entire star systems began evacuating their populations, but with the hyperspace gates working poorly. Many refugee ships got lost in the dangerous space between stars. Some arrived at the wrong destinations. Others never arrived at all. In desperation, Council Prime Vorthok authorized a priority message to be sent to the Human Federation. It took 2 days to reach President Park because the message had to be routed through many broken relay stations. "We request immediate assistance in fighting the Devourer invasion," the message said. "All previous disagreements can be discussed after this crisis is resolved. The survival of all galactic civilization is at stake." President Park read the message in his office on Earth while looking out at the blue sky and white clouds that the Devourers wanted to destroy. He thought for a long time before dictating his response. The Human Federation expresses sympathy for the Council's difficult situation, however. We are currently focused on protecting our own territories and those of our allies. We suggest the Council contact us through proper diplomatic channels if they wish to discuss mutual defense agreements. The message was polite and professional, but its meaning was clear. You threw us out. Now handle your own problems. But the Devourers were not only attacking Council space. Their scout ships began probing the edges of human territory, testing defenses and studying the new alliance between humans and their friends. The first major battle happened at Kepler 442. A human colony world where 2 million people lived in floating cities above a gas giant planet. The colonists had built there homes there to mine rare gases from the planet's atmosphere. It was a peaceful place with schools, parks, and families. When the Devourer fleet arrived, it was bigger than anything the Council had faced. 50 massive ships surrounded the planet like hungry predators. They began sending smaller vessels down to the surface to start their feeding process. But this time, They met something they had not expected. The human defense fleet appeared through hyperspace with perfect timing. Their communication systems worked flawlessly, allowing them to coordinate their attack with precision. Kethan heavy cruisers provided powerful weapons, while Zoltan energy shields protected the human ships from enemy fire. The battle lasted only 30 minutes. The Devourer fleet was completely destroyed with minimal human losses. Not a single enemy ship escaped to report back to their commanders. "Sir, we have captured some of their technology," reported Captain Young from the flagship. "The Zoltan energy specialists are already studying it. They think they can learn how to track the Devourers back to their home base." President Park smiled. When he received the battle report, the message was clear to everyone in the galaxy. The human alliance was not the easy target that the Devourers had expected. They had picked the wrong enemy to fight. As news of the victory spread, something interesting began to happen in Council space. Some of the alien species started to wonder if they had chosen the wrong side in the great political split that had divided the galaxy, 18 months after the Devourer War began. A small ship with no weapons arrived at New Seoul Station. It carried 3 passengers who had once been the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Council Prime Vorthik, Admiral Korth, and Ambassador Crate each stepped off their ship looking tired and defeated. President Park Ji-hoon met them personally in the station's main conference room. Through the large windows, they could see human ships and alien vessels from dozens of species working together peacefully. The sight reminded everyone how much the galaxy had changed. "Mr. President," Vorthik began, his voice much quieter than it had been during the old council meetings. "We come to ask for a formal alliance against the Devourer threat." Park looked at the 3 aliens sitting across from him. These were the same beings who had tried to force humanity to become slaves just 2 years ago. Now they were begging for help. "What are you offering in return?" Park asked simply. "Complete recognition of the Human Federation as an equal partner in any new galactic government," Vorthik replied. "Free access to all former Council territories for human ships and citizens," and he paused, looking embarrassed. "A formal apology for our previous actions against your people." Park was quiet for a moment, then activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Nearly half of all star systems were now colored blue, representing the Human Alliance network. The old council controlled less than 30% of civilized space. "You do not understand the situation," Park said calmly. "We are not interested in rejoining your council. We have built something much better." He pointed to different colored sections of the galactic map. "Your council was based on the idea that some species are naturally more important than others. Our network believes that every species has something valuable to offer. The Kethans can mine asteroids in conditions that would kill most beings. The Zoltans can control energy in ways we never imagined. The free traders bring us new ideas and different ways of thinking about problems," Admiral Korth leaned forward desperately. "But the Devourers threaten everyone in the galaxy. Surely staying alive is more important than political arguments." "You are absolutely right," Park agreed. "Which is why we are willing to share our defensive technologies and work together in military operations. But we will not help rebuild a system that we know will try to control us again once the danger is over." Ambassador Kraith, who had been silent throughout the meeting, finally spoke. He was the same alien who had delivered the ultimatum that started this whole crisis. "What would it take for the Council to join your network instead?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. For the first time since the meeting began, Park smiled genuinely. The complete dissolution of the Council hierarchy. Equal representation for all species, no matter how old or powerful they are. Open sharing of technology and scientific knowledge. And most importantly, A commitment to helping other species grow and develop instead of keeping them weakened. Dependent, the negotiations took 3 weeks. During that time, the 3 council representatives traveled to different human worlds and saw how the new alliance worked. They visited Kithan mining operations where humans and rock people worked side by side. They toured Zoltan research facilities where energy beings and human scientists created amazing new inventions together. Finally, the Galactic Council held a vote to dissolve itself and join the Human Alliance Network. The decision was not unanimous. Several proud species refused to give up their superior status and tried to form their own competing organizations. But as Devourer attacks continued, the advantages of the network's cooperative structure became impossible to ignore. The final battle against the Devourers took place near the center of the galaxy, where a massive enemy mothership threatened to destroy the giant black hole that held all the star systems together. If it succeeded, dozens of inhabited worlds would be pulled into the darkness and destroyed. The combined network fleet was the largest military force in galactic history. Human coordination systems worked perfectly with Kethan weapons, Zoltan, energy shields, and tactical innovations from 30 different species. The battle was fierce and terrible, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Devourers were completely defeated. Their threat ended forever. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to rebuild itself based on cooperation instead of domination. President Park stood once again on the observation deck of New Seoul Station, watching the steady flow of ships from dozens of different worlds. Director Choi joined him, carrying reports about the reconstruction efforts. The former Dominion species have agreed to share their crystal brewing technology with everyone, she said. The old hegemony wants to establish joint research colonies with us. And the Dimensional Physics Project has achieved a major breakthrough. We are looking at instant communication across the entire galaxy. Park nodded, watching a group of human children play with young aliens from 6 different species in the station's park area. You know, he said quietly, sometimes you have to walk away from a broken system before you can build something that actually works. The galaxy had learned that lesson the hard way. But now, for the first time in thousands of years, every species had a chance to reach their full potential. The age of domination was over. The age of cooperation had begun.